Over the past 8 years, I've completed 3 university degrees, the last one being med school, which is known to be one of the toughest degrees out there. But the truth is, I made a load of mistakes that made university harder and more stressful than it needed to be, and I only figured out the right way to do things towards the end. I'm Salim, I'm now a doctor living in London, and honestly, there's a lot I regret about how I approached my time at university. But things started to change during my final years of med school. I was doing well in my exams, growing my YouTube channel, and still had time for a healthy, balanced personal life. But I don't want you wasting years figuring it out the hard way like I did. So I'll share 5 key lessons that helped me turn everything around. These are the things I wish someone told me in first year, because they'll not only help you succeed now, but also set you up for the life you want after graduating. So when I first started university, I thought it was all about getting through thousands of pages of content and passing exams. That was my entire focus: study, pass exams, and repeat. And I believed that as long as I worked hard enough, I'd be fine. But what I didn't realize was how much that mindset came at a cost, because constantly working under pressure meant I'd delay or completely ignore other important parts of my life, like hobbies, friendships, or even just relaxing. And if you're on the opposite end, where you tend to procrastinate or scroll on your phone instead of study, the long-term consequences are actually very similar. These imbalances don't just disappear when you graduate. Whether you overwork or avoid work, those patterns become habits, and they'll follow you into your full-time job after graduating. If you don't fix them now, you'll keep ignoring the other parts of life that matter: your mental health, your relationships, and your downtime. So you need to realize that university isn't just about the degree on paper. It's the training ground for how you live and work for the years to come. So ask yourself, are the habits I'm building now ones I actually want to carry with me for the next 10 years? Because these patterns won't magically reset after you graduate. They'll decide what your life looks like. That's why I now pay close attention to where my time goes. A lot of the habits I used to run on autopilot, I now catch early, which makes it much easier to take control and stop repeating the same mistakes. So that meant being more conscious of when I'd randomly unlock my phone for no reason, or if I'd have a bad habit of delaying the time I'd get on with studying. I've linked a free habit tracker in the description. Use it to take back control of your routines before your routines take control of you. And now, one of the biggest traps of university is that it doesn't just test what you know. It teaches you how to think like the system wants you to think. And for my earlier degrees, I was stuck in that exact cycle, memorizing lecture slides, regurgitating notes, and blindly following the path laid out for me. And back then, I thought that was enough. But the truth is, if you never question what you're learning or how you're learning it, you're not actually becoming smarter. You're just becoming a well-trained robot. You won't become a thinker or problem solver. And honestly, this is why so many people end up in dead-end jobs where they just follow orders. It's not because they aren't capable. It's because they've never learned to think independently or solve problems without being told exactly what to do. So the turning point for me was when I stopped asking, what do I need to memorize? And started asking, why is this important? What's the best way to understand it? That shift led me to discover methods like active recall, spaced repetition, visual learning techniques, or reading around topics I was curious about. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to learn better. And once I started thinking that way, I wasn't just doing what I was told anymore. I was building my own way of learning, thinking, and creating. I tapped into my intellectual curiosity and took control of how I thought, so that my university didn't think for me. And that mindset is what helped me grow my YouTube channel, start coaching others, and build things outside of just studying for exams. Learning to think for yourself is the difference between being a passive student and becoming a lifelong learner. And if you can think for yourself, that's when you can start creating more value, solve new problems, and stand out long after graduation. So if you don't learn to think for yourself, you won't think of doing anything more. And now at university, you're surrounded by academics, exams, and rankings. So it's easy to believe that success is all about being the smartest person in the room. And especially if you're someone who watches study-related videos, you probably value performance and getting high marks. But I noticed at med school that being book smart and scoring the highest on exams didn't equate to success. These students getting the perfect scores weren't the ones doing the best overall. The ones who really stood out, the ones who built great careers, found research opportunities, and were confident in clinical placements, they weren't just book smart. They were the ones who had strong networks. They were the ones who stayed behind after teaching sessions to speak with doctors, collaborated with other students, or connected with researchers. And the reason this is the case is because beyond a certain point, your technical skills are taken for granted. People you're working with are going going to assume that you have the ability to perform the job, regardless of whether you get 70% or 100% on your exams. What makes the real difference is your ability to build relationships, influence people, and create opportunities through genuine connections. And to get all of this could mean you joining a student society, helping with a research project, or just showing up to events where conversations lead to something bigger. So if you ever catch yourself thinking if you should keep studying or spend time to network and go to a few events, ask yourself, is more studying really going to add value right now, or is this other opportunity a chance to grow in a way that a textbook can't help you with? In the real world, your career isn't built in isolation, it's built through people, and spending your time working on this is going to help you become more three-dimensional as a person. And this links to my next point, which is a saying you've probably heard, and it's that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it sounds a bit cliche, but as the years at university went by, the more I realized how true it really is. Because I would see this in my earlier degrees, where I was around people who crammed last minute, skipped lectures, or always seemed behind. And without meaning to, I started doing the same. We'd stay up late telling ourselves that we're being productive, but most of the time we were just procrastinating together. But when it got to med school, I spent a lot more time with a smaller group of people who planned ahead, took care of their physical and mental health, and worked on side projects. And gradually, just by being around them, I found myself adopting their habits and mindset too. And the important thing to realize is that I didn't make a big decision to change. It happened gradually over months and years. It happened slowly and almost invisibly, which is why it's important to be aware. Be aware of who you spend your time with, because you could be going down a negative trajectory without even realizing. So take some time to really reflect on this. Are the people around you helping you grow into the person you want to become? Or are they keeping you stuck where you've always been? Because if I didn't have the friends I have now, and if I hadn't connected with certain communities, I genuinely don't think I'd have built this channel, grown the self-improvement mindset I have, or taken the risks that got me here. It's because I had this positive accountability that I am where I am now, and hopefully continue to go up this positive trajectory. And this isn't about cutting people off. It's about consciously choosing to spend more time around people who push you forward, because in the long run, your environment becomes your identity. Now for a quick update, I'm working on building an online course and community and would highly appreciate your feedback and input. So check out the links in the description. It would help me out a lot if you would provide some feedback in terms of what you find helpful from my videos and what you feel would help even more as part of a course or community. Thank you in advance, and now back to the video. And now the 5th lesson is about making sure to create a boundary between yourself and your university performance. I've known people from my undergrad degrees who barely passed their exams and others who graduated at the top of their class. And years down the line, none of those rankings really mattered, because life after graduation plays by a different set of rules. And this is definitely the same for you. Think back to your exams at school. Most, if not all of them, don't matter. You probably haven't even thought about them for years until I just mentioned them now, even though back then it felt like the most important thing. But even then, whilst you're at university, it's easy to tie your self-worth to your grades or your rank. But as I've described in this video, you aren't the same as the grades you get or the position you are in your class. The world outside university rewards and values growth, initiative, resilience, and consistency, not just exam grades. So if you get a bad result or had a difficult semester, it actually doesn't matter. What matters is how you respond, what you learn, and how you keep moving forwards. So all of this advice is going to make sure that you use your time at university well to become a graduate that has the right network, the right habits, and the right skills to be successful. But maybe you're thinking, I don't have what it takes to build these skills or think in this way. And the good news is, skills like this aren't fixed traits you're born with. They're things you can develop over time. Just like how I got smarter over my 8 years at university, not only in knowledge but also in how I quickly learn and adapt, you can grow your abilities too. And if you want to get better at learning, think critically, and become smarter overall, then click this video here where I explain exactly how I did this for myself so that you can do the same.